Hello, and thank you for joining us today in our study of the book of Psalms. Today we are in Psalm 52. And once again, we have here a Psalm of David, and once again, we have a timeline for when this psalm is going to be written. This particular psalm is not a very long psalm, but it has to do with those who are wicked and those who do wicked things. It is going to be given, or it's going to be written by David in the days surrounding 1 Samuel chapter 22. And it is going to be there while David is on the run from Saul before he is ever king that a man by the name of Doeg, who is going to be one of the servants of Saul, is going to report on where David is, but he's going to do it in such a way that not just David is going to be in danger, but all of those who were in the city that he visited, Nob, are going to be in danger as well. And Doeg is even actually going to carry out executions of the men in Nob because of the things that transpire. And so this is going to be a very emotional psalm from the standpoint of David with the wicked deeds that Doeg is going to undertake. With that being said, let's examine Psalm 52. Beginning in verse 1, we read, "Why do you boast in evil, O mighty man? The goodness of God endures continually. Your tongue devises destruction, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. You love evil more than good, lying rather than speaking righteousness. You love all devouring words, you deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous also shall see and fear, and shall laugh at him, saying, Here is the man who did not make God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise you forever because you have done it, and in the presence of your saints I will wait on your name, for it is good." As you examine Psalm 52, you have here a rebuke of those that would do evil, but also a waiting for the deliverance and the justice of God. But let's look at a couple of things that are found here in the psalm. First of all, David is going to make the statement in verse 3 that you love evil more than good. Now, he's going to talk about certain classifications of people who love evil, the people who love lying rather than speaking righteousness. And as a matter of fact, going back up into verse 2, he talks about those whose tongue devises destruction. So we're talking about those who do evil with their mouth, specifically with the things that they say. Maybe it's bearing false witness, maybe it's lying. Maybe it's a situation where you're trying to get someone in trouble, which is basically what Doeg is going to do under these circumstances. But then he says in verse 4, You love all devouring words, you deceitful tongue. So we're not just talking about all evil, but rather the evils that come from the words that are said. And certainly in our world today, there are a lot of people who love the words of evil more than good. There are a lot of people who have absolutely no problem with lying. There are a lot of people that have absolutely no problem with saying the most hateful, despicable, unreasonable, and unloving things to each other, especially if they can do it behind the screen of a phone or of a computer. They will say things over the internet. They will say things in text messages. They will say things in emails that they would never say to a person face to face. But they love evil more than good. And therefore, they are willing to do all of these things in order to further their own desires and to satisfy their own lusts. But at the same time, David is going to illustrate that this is not going to have a positive conclusion. He's going to talk about in verse 5, God shall likewise destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place. And then he says in verse 7, or verse 6 rather, that the righteous are going to look at that individual and laugh. Here the laugh is one almost of derision, not of merriment or of mocking, but say that here is the man who did not make God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. Ultimately, David says, the individual who follows after this path of loving wickedness more than good, of loving to do evil more than good, is going to reach a final conclusion. And that final conclusion is not going to be one that is going to be happy for that individual. And the righteous is going to look on and say, here is the man. He's going to use that man as an object lesson of what not to do. Don't be like him, because the end is not worth the actions that will be undertaken. David concludes by saying, I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever, and I will praise you forever because you have done it. God will take care of things. God is going to ultimately judge and bring down those who live after the measures of evil and wickedness. The key component for us is going to be not stooping down to their level, not doing what they do or acting like they act. We have to be different. And we have to illustrate the difference in what we do and in what we say. We cannot claim to be good and then act like the evil around us in what we say and how we project ourselves. So these are some of the things that I notice in Psalm 52. I hope that these things are beneficial to you. Next time, we're going to come back and we will begin looking at Psalm 53. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope that you'll join us next time. But until then, have a great day.